The defining emotion of the modern professional is exhaustion. We wake up, optimize our routines, track our metrics, and measure our worth against an algorithm that is constantly refreshing with someone else's achievements. This flowchart shows why the grind feels endless. Acquire a status symbol, and your brain adapts. The thrill evaporates, hardwiring you to desire more. The loop stretches. Hit a goal, the target doubles. You can never win. When a game is explicitly engineered to exhaust its players without ever granting victory, the only logical move is to refuse the controller entirely. Over 2 millennia ago, the citizens of ancient Athens ran a remarkably similar maze. Politicians chased influence, merchants hoarded wealth, and society rewarded those accumulating status. Then came Diogenes of Sinope. He looked at the wealthiest, most powerful men in the city and saw nothing but anxious prisoners chained to their possessions. Diogenes declined to quietly drop out. He launched a loud, aggressive, philosophical rebellion that came to be known as Cynicism. His logic was brutal. If society controls you by threatening to take away your property and reputation, the path to absolute freedom is to violently subtract your needs until there is nothing left to leverage against you. The Athenians called him insane, but he was executing a highly calculated strategy to achieve total psychological dominance over his environment. His first step was physical. Diogenes threw away almost everything he owned to prove that property inevitably ends up owning the individual. He abandoned traditional housing entirely. He took up residence inside a massive, discarded clay storage tub right in the middle of the bustling public square. One day, carrying his only 2 remaining possessions, a wooden bowl and a spoon, he watched a young boy scoop up water with his bare hands to drink and use a hollowed-out crust of bread to eat his lentils. Diogenes immediately smashed his bowl and threw away his spoon, declaring that a child had beaten him in the art of simplicity. By voluntarily reducing his footprint to absolute zero, he eliminated the anxiety of losing his wealth. Extreme poverty became an impenetrable suit of armor. Next, he targeted the human ego. He knew that as long as he craved social approval, his peers could control him. He cultivated a practice of total shamelessness. He ate his meals directly in the marketplace, a major taboo in Greek society, deliberately breaking unwritten rules to deaden his sensitivity to public judgment. Athenians would frequently catch him walking up to lifeless stone statues and passionately begging them for spare change. When people inevitably stopped to ask why he was asking a block of marble for money, he gave a completely rational answer: "I am practicing disappointment." He systematically broke down his own ego through repeated, voluntary humiliation. Once you no longer fear looking foolish, nobody has the power to humiliate you. This mental sovereignty eventually drew the attention of the most powerful man on earth. Alexander the Great, the conqueror of the known world, traveled to Corinth and found the philosopher resting quietly in the sun. The young king stood over the man in the dirt and made an offer only a world emperor could make. Ask for absolutely any favor, and it will be granted. Diogenes opened his eyes, looked at the commander of armies, and said, "Cease to shade me from the sun." In that single sentence, the power dynamic inverted. Alexander realized that all his gold and military might could not purchase the complete contentment that this man sitting in the dirt possessed for free. This diagram maps the Cynic mechanism for filtering value. Virtue and vice are the only traits kept in the core pillar. Everything else, wealth, noble birth, and glory, is pushed into a discard pile labeled indifferent. Today, that discard pile easily swallows job titles, luxury vehicles, and social media metrics. They are, strictly speaking, indifferent to your actual character. Think about your own daily stress. How much of it is tied to survival, and how much is tethered to acquiring things that marketers and algorithms insist you need? We live in an economy that requires our constant gnawing dissatisfaction to function. Our anxiety is a manufactured byproduct of the system. You don't have to throw away your house and move into a clay pot to use Diogenes' playbook. The goal is mental sovereignty, not literal destitution. It is the conscious decision to step off the high-speed treadmill of consumer desire,
to observe the exhausting race and simply decline to run. Real power is not accumulating everything the world has to offer.
It is looking at the entire buffet of modern success and realizing you don't need to put a single thing on your plate. You defeat hustle culture the exact moment you realize you are already whole to begin with.